All right. Hey guys, I'm Dan Goff. I'm the arts and entertainment editor of the Cavalier Daily, and I am here with up-and-coming female band Soju Blue to ask them a few questions about their upcoming show at the Southern with Sorority Boy and who's the main act there?
New Boss.
New Boss. Very exciting. So can we just go around and do introductions, please?
Yeah, just names?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Molly Murphy.
Positions in the band as well.
I'm Molly Murphy. I do some vocals and some very light percussion.
I'm Maddie. I do vocals and piano, and we do a little guitar. Yeah.
I'm Christina. I play the cello and a little bit of piano. Yeah.
So, as I understand it, you guys are all music majors. That's pretty cool. How did this all get started? You said that it's pretty new. How new is new?
Yeah, new as in, like, we've only had one official gig ever. And we formed, like, November of last year.
Yeah.
So we've really been together for, like, 3 to 4 months. Do you want to talk about how we started?
So I know Maddie because we live next to each other, and Maddie's like a musician, like writes her own stuff. So we like used to jam together, and then I met Molly, and Molly sings at the Silhouettes. So I knew that about her, and then one day we were kind of like walking, and I was like, hey, like I kind of want to start a band. Like, do you guys want to join? And like we like just kind of started jamming, and like it really worked out because there's like everybody's really talented, and like yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's just like I had to do a project for songwriting, and I was playing, and I was like, oh my god, this would sound so good with cello. So I had Tina come in, and then the next day, Tina's like, yo, Molly's like super dope. Let's all jam together. And then we jammed, and
then, yeah, I guess the first time we, like, practiced, we began our practice by, we were like, okay, now we're a real band. We're going to sit down and figure out a name. What do we like? Like, what? Let's pick a color. Let's pick a thing or something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty much those were the options. So Soju Blue was what we ended up with.
So can you tell me a little more about the name? I mean, is that the entire story there? Or at the risk of sounding, like, ignorant, what is Soju?
So I'm Korean. I spent my summer abroad in Korea, and soju is like the national drink of Korea, and it's consumed like a lot. It's I think it beats out vodka and like the most alcohol per capita consumed in the world. And yeah, like we were just sitting down, like looking at like some adjectives and some like names just to like figure out like what we wanted to be, and like we really liked the color blue. And I was going through some like poems I had written over the summer, and like soju was a theme of one of them, and I don't know, like it really went together with the theme because like being like drunk on soju is kind of being like wine drunk, like you're like really happy, like it's very like communal like thing. You drink together with friends, like your family, like coworkers and stuff like that. So we just thought that it went really well with the vibe that we wanted to present.
didn't we have like it was Soju something blue?
Right.
So
no, so
I know because it was like they're both 4 letters, so it kind of.
yeah.
But it was like something else we had.
Oh,
I don't remember what it was.
There were some various options. It also rhymes, so that sounds good.
Yeah, it rhymes.
Or whatever past versions there were. Yeah, I like this. It rolls off the tongue well. So you guys have only been together a few months now, but you're one of the opening acts for a show at the Southern this weekend. Can one of you tell me like how that happened? That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think you could have said that.
Yeah. Well, so our first official gig was actually at the Ante Room downtown. So that was already like a pretty crazy first gig in itself. Yeah, and so we were booked to play at the T-Bazaar on the same date by Maria DeHart, who's in Sorority Boy. And she reached out like, I think a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and was like, hey, would you guys mind switching over to opening for like our gig at the Southern on the same day? And I just remember being like, are you sure? Like, we really are new. Like, our vibe's a little different, but...
yeah, I mean, like, yeah, like, I didn't even know about it until, like, you knew about it, and you didn't tell me yet, so I was actually, we were in the same, like, we were at the same party or something, and Murray comes up to me, and I was like, hey, like, what's gonna go on, like, with our gig? And she was like, actually, like, you're gonna play with the Southern with me and Brian, and I just remember, like, being like, what? Like, yeah, it was super amazing, and, like, we're really blessed to like have all these connections, people who like already really love us, although we are so new.
Yeah, and everyone's kind of like, this is your second gig ever, and you're playing at the Southern. How did that happen? Like we are asking the same thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's especially cool. I feel like I lived 2 hours away from Charlottesville, so in high school I would literally drive and go to shows at the Southern. Like I would make the 2-hour trip to like go to the Southern, which doesn't even seem like that big a thing. Like it's a pretty small venue, but it's cool to be here now. So
That's really exciting. So Sorority Boy pretty much reached out to you and invited you to open. Have you had like past interactions with the band or student musicians on grounds in general? What has your interactions with them been like?
I guess I feel like we all know them in different contexts, Brian and Maria. Yeah, I've met them both my first year through various like music classes, or Brian lived in my dorm. And they both actually just like popped up a lot, I feel like. And I remember they used to have a band called Second Date, and then they kind of dissolved eventually, and everybody was pretty bummed about that. And then Sorority Boy emerged out of that. Haven't had too much interaction. I know they're great. Their music is good stuff, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, I actually booked them for our UPC September series on our concert committee. Yeah. And I do radio, so I see them around a lot. That's probably my connection with them.
Yeah. I know both of them through, like, separate connections, but Maria was in one of my classes, like, in the past, and Brian was really good friends with, like, my best friend. And I'm actually, I don't know if this is very new, but me and Maria are actually playing in the same band now. We formed a separate band for a separate project involving other various people, but so we're working together on that as well.
Is that named yet? Or?
No, we had our first practice like a couple days ago. I don't know if I should be talking about it,
but no, that raises a good point. Like I've been saying, like UVA student musicians are just everywhere. Like bands are formed so frequently. I've been making an effort to like reach out to more of them, do more features, but the more I scratch the surface, the more I realize there's no way we can cover all of them. Like, that being said, there's such a glut of musical talent on grounds. How do you guys set yourself apart, or how do you plan to set yourself apart, I guess?
I think I've been thinking about this a lot because we're still relatively new, but I think of it as there's so many great bands and all of them are so talented, but I think part of our thing and why we tend to define ourselves as an all-female band is because we don't have any other outside forces other than this is all we need. You know, we've got 2 multi-instrumentalists and vocals and everything that we would need just from an all-female group, which I think is not necessarily better, but I think it's rarer in the Charlottesville like student music scene at least. So I think that's unique to us.
Oh, yeah. I think, I mean, just like the cello, like Tina plays cello, and that's a pretty unique sound to us. So I think in terms of sound alone, that maybe that's one way we're going to try and set ourselves apart.
And like Maddie songwrites, like that's a definite plus. And I feel like we all come from like very solid musical backgrounds. Like I think most of us are classically trained in something. So I think that kind of sets ourselves apart just in terms of musical, like how we can make music more interesting because we know like more tonal structures and like some theory behind it, as well as like our sound is, I think, pretty distinct.
But we're still like trying to decide that. Like we were playing around with the synth stuff the other day. Like we're really new to our sound, so.
So your sound is still pretty up in there, you'd say. Like, I really hate to ask any sort of musician, like, how would you classify your sound? But I don't know. It's maybe for a group that a lot of students might not have heard of yet, it's worth asking in some aspect. Like you said, you played the cello. That really intrigues me. I just wonder, I know Thomas mentioned that you covered a St. Vincent song. I wondered if that's kind of like standard fare for what you guys enjoy doing, or...
Of like our sound.
Yeah.
We've covered like Chance the Rapper. We've covered Dorian, or I'm sorry, Agnes Obel. I would say I tend to use the word ambient just because we kind of have like a keyboard cello like harmony vibe. Maybe it's not exactly ambient. What would you say?
I think at one point we classified ourselves as sad girl, sad girl music.
Not sad boy.
Yeah, sad girl. It's very it's very like ballady, pretty soft. I think we focus more on the acoustics and the meanings behind our lyrics more than like synthy like layerings and stuff. But I think that's the basis of our sound. We're trying to build upon it, but I think that we'll always kind of be like acoustic-y and ballady.
Like minimalist is a good word.
Yeah.
I mean, we have very few instruments going on.
Yeah. I think that each one of us has parts in every piece that our voice or instrument like really speaks out as like a solo, and like I think it's pretty powerful.
So you said, Maddie, you're a songwriter. Are you like the official songwriter for the band? Or?
I wouldn't say I'm the official one. Like, we're all kind of doing our part, but the stuff we've had time to put together are all my stuff. So all the originals we'll play are going to be mine. But everyone's contributed really well.
And to that point, do you have a lot of original stuff that's going to be debuted, or do you still play a lot of covers? What can we expect from Saturday's show?
Definitely like half and half.
Yeah.
We're trying to do like a little bit more originals, but we're still going to have like a decent amount of covers going on.
Yeah.
And to that point, I know you guys are still really new. I could not find you online or like your music online. Is there any platform where students can find your music, or?
Working TBD.
Yeah, working on it. That's all I can really say, but hopefully, yeah, a Bandcamp. You can find Maddie's stuff is on Bandcamp, the original stuff. I've got some stuff on Bandcamp and SoundCloud. You have writing published, maybe? I don't know.
No, but we're working on a website in the works, so hopefully that comes up in the next couple like weeks or months.
Yeah.
That
really
won't. Yeah, we'll have like our recordings up there and like some pictures and like some bios about us. So
Yeah. Hopefully we get like a Bandcamp at the minimum. Yeah. We should get something up.
Okay. So all that being said, I know I brought up this point a lot, but there are just so many music groups on grounds. We want students to know who you are. If there's one thing that students need to know about your band that would make them come out this weekend, what do you want them to know? And take your time on that. I know that's kind of a loaded question. Or just you can all give answers. Like, what are some essential things about your band?
I guess I thought.
Well, I think in the context of this show, it's particularly cool because although our music isn't necessarily the same or that similar to New Bus or Sorority Boy, it's still, I think, is appealing to a similar audience, but also it means it's appealing to like a wide audience. The fact that neither of them sound alike either, but it'll be like a pretty diverse show, and I think we have definitely our own sound, even though it's not fully developed yet. Yeah, and I think it's just we all love music and are, I think, pretty good at it, so it'll be an enjoyable show.
Yeah, I would say if you're gonna come out for our sound, because I would say it's pretty unique and it's pretty cool with like the cello and piano and the harmonies going on. So yeah, that's all I can think.
yeah, I think it's different from the regular fare that you get with like a band. We don't have a drummer. Like there's no like not acoustic, but electric bass or guitar. Like it's very like acoustic, and I think like we have a pretty unique sound, and we all are female, and I think that's also pretty unique. So just to get a new taste of what's been going on in like the UVA music scene, the Charlottesville music scene, I think everybody should come out.
All right. Well, that's all I had for you guys. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm glad we got to learn more about Soju Blue. Yeah. Thank all.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Yeah. Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
Stay tuned because we will get stuff online. Yeah. There's nothing online right now. We're working on it.
There will be once we publish this article.
Hey, there you go.